Hello, and welcome to episode number 7 of Boutique Talk. My name is Jake Boston, otherwise known as Steelbook Obsessed on all of your major social media platforms. And if you want to listen to all things physical media related, then you've come to the right place. Every week, I have on a new guest to talk about their collecting journey. And today, my guest is, in my opinion, an expert on the golden age of cinema and has a collection that I drool over every time I see it. It's Tim Talks Talkies. Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I cannot wait to finally. It took 7 episodes, but we're talking Criterion Collection.
Yeah, it's the perfect month for it, right? The sale is right
Correct.
around the corner.
Yeah, a little bit of peek behind the curtain. I have another person that's going to talk about Criterion too, because it just makes sense. In November, you have the 50% off sale at Barnes and Noble and on the website Criterion. So cannot
Yep,
wait to dig in deep.
I know.
Well, what's going on, man? Anything new in
Uh,
your world?
Not really. I think I'm just finished horror stuff, and now I'm kind of in the noir mood. That's what I want to do. Obviously, we watched today's movie as preparation for this, but after this, it's just going to be noir movies like all month, I think.
Sure. No, I cannot wait to talk about some 12 Angry Men. I had not seen it since high school, and I knew that I liked it, but just, yeah, rewatching it, we'll talk about it more. But what a movie.
It is a quintessential high school movie, isn't it?
That's
To
what I
show
hear.
kids
Yeah.
and like, hey, this is how the legal system works.
Right. Even though like there's some places that'll be like, yeah, if you're in a jury, don't do this. Like, don't recreate some of the things that they're talking about in here. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that. What I'd like to do before we talk about the movie is kind of talk about the guest and how you started collecting physical media and all that jazz. So, what got you enthralled in your collection?
It really kickstarted some. My uncle was a big movie fan. When he passed away, I got all of his VHS tapes, and I kind of started falling in love with them. And then after I watched all of those tapes, started going to the library, renting VHS like crazy. And then I came to the age of having my own job with disposable income and zero things to spend it on. So I would work literally to go blow my entire check on DVDs. Just $300-400 in DVDs every time. So I just kept building up a collection from reckless spending as a teen.
Right. Yeah. Similar to you as well. My first job was a cook at a restaurant, and I made good money in high school, and all of that went to CDs and DVDs, just trying to bulk up my collection and try to grow my tastes in movies and music.
Yeah, which is crazy. As you talk about growing taste too, my gosh, my tastes have evolved and changed.
Yes.
Like I love the classic movies now. When I was younger, that's the stuff that my mom forced on the television. I'm like, ew, black and white old stuff. I don't want that.
Right.
And now I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, in high school, I was a connoisseur of Adam Sandler, and I still love him, but he's not the pinnacle to me anymore. It's just it's fun to kind of have your taste change as you get older and see what you like and see what you thought you didn't like as a kid and continue to just like love as an adult. Like horror, I would not touch the stuff until I was like 17, 18. I was just a scaredy cat. And then I finally just dipped my toes in and I couldn't get enough.
Yeah, I'm actually a pretty late entry to it too. So many of the people in the community are like, I was watching horror at 8 and 9 and 10. Not this guy. I didn't grow up with horror in the house at all.
No, I like my parents were very strict. Like I couldn't even watch The Simpsons at my house. They were very It's like that's too much. That's going to be a bad influence on you, Jacob. No, can't do that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, VHS tapes. Do you still have any of those, or what happened to those?
Oh yeah. So my original collection, all those are gone, but I have a bunch upstairs, and then like there's a whole ton that are like right next to me too. Yeah. Just random stuff. Like this gets shown on so many live streams, so it's always near me because this thing's not on DVD even. But yeah, I've got plenty of VHS, man. I've not as much as you. You have some really crazy obscure type stuff.
Well, I just started collecting VHS like 6-7 years ago, and just get lucky finding it at thrift stores and stuff. I can barely find them nowadays, but when I first started looking, they were all over the place still, and I don't know why. I think Iowa is just late to the game on getting rid of stuff that's like 20 years old or whatever.
But it's crazy that I never really run across horror like ever.
Yeah.
If I do, it's something super mainstream like a Scream or something like that. But a lot of the other stuff, I like never run across horror. So I don't have a whole lot of horror VHS.
No, a lot of the VHS is just like your run-of-the-mill average movie from that time frame, or like random royalty-free cartoons or Christian-based faith movies. It's
Oh
just
my
like
God, yeah. Those, oh my God.
the stuff that nobody wants and will sit on a shelf forever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, how long did it take in your like collecting journey to figure out what a boutique label was?
Ooh, to be honest, Instagram time, probably hopping on Instagram. So it took me a long time. I bought some of this stuff. Like I had the occasional Criterion and stuff, but I don't think I really knew what any of that was. It was just a movie.
Sure.
So I don't think I started grasping what a boutique label was till, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, really actually paying attention to what they are.
Right.
Otherwise, it was just, this is just a movie that's in store. Cool. I'm going to buy this.
Mm-hmm. I think Instagram is what really got me into searching out like, oh, there's a lot of these boutique labels. The first one I found out about was Criterion. In college, I worked at Hollywood Video, and they had a Criterion section. And I'm like, what is this? And I just like, it was just a wall of like 250 movies. And not a lot of them were showing. It was just like a lot of spines. And I saw that they were numbered. I'm like, why are these numbered? And I just did more research into them. I checked a lot of them out just to watch them, brought them back. It's just, Criterion has a special place in my heart just because it kind of opened the door to what boutique labels were and how a company can craft a collection of movies and kind of bunch them together and be like, hey, if you're in the Criterion Collection, we think you're important. Let's go.
Yeah, it means something. When you get that C on there, and that means something. That's a stamp of honor. It's a badge of honor.
Right. And it was the first one that I started collecting for, really, just because it's the first one I found out about. I was really big into it. As of late, I haven't been buying as many as I used to. And I'm not quite sure why that is. I don't know if it's my tastes have changed. Because, I mean, sometimes when I watch Criterion, I do like it, but sometimes it feels like a chore. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm doing my cinematic homework here.
I get that. I understand that. Some of the stuff, it's not necessarily I'm going to put this on, shut off my brain. Like most of it is, it's fully pay attention, no phone in hand or anything like that. Because it's the best way to describe like most of Criterion is like it's art. It's not just the disposable pop it on type movie.
Right. And honestly, just putting two and two together now, I think the main reason why I stopped collecting as much is when I had kids, I watched everything with subtitles on. And I didn't realize until I had kids that Criterion movies don't have subtitles, which is very bizarre to me. I don't know why they make that choice.
Yeah. That is interesting. I don't think I ever really, I think I heard that, but never really realized because I only watch subs if it's a foreign movie, but I don't put them on otherwise.
See, from what I've heard and from my experience, I had kids, so I watched them out of necessity with the subtitles on. And now it doesn't matter if the kids are in the house or not. I will just watch everything with subtitles on because you get little tidbits about the movie that you might not have picked up on, or it says like in distance, like it describes something that's happening that you can't even hear. So it's cool just to get a little extra when you're watching. Like when I go to the movie theaters, I went to see Killers of the Flower Moon last week, and one of the trailers had subtitles. I'm like, is the movie going to have this? Yeah, I've never seen that before, but I was very excited to.
I can't wait to see that movie. Oh, looks so good.
It's long. I think it's okay. I wish I loved The Irishman and I would justify that runtime. Killers of the Flower Moon, I feel like could chop off 30-45 minutes pretty easy.
Whew. And that still takes it down to like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, that would be like 2.5-hour movie, which I think for this would be perfect.
Yeah.
And that will probably come to Criterion Collection at some point. I know The Irishman did too. I wish they would have came out on a 4K instead of a Blu-ray.
Yeah, but I think Apple TV is getting it in December, right? I think it's December.
I couldn't remember if it was coming out towards Thanksgiving or Christmas, but it's coming out this year for sure.
Yeah. So I'm not going to honestly catch it in theaters, so I'll catch it when it hits Apple TV.
Right. And I'm glad that I watched it in theaters because I feel like if I would have watched it at home, I would have watched it over like 4 or 5 nights. And because it's a long movie and it feels like it to me. So I that would be a quintessential movie to where I'd be sitting in that chair over there and I'd be falling asleep every night I try to watch it.
I'm going to be honest. I did it with Irishman was a 2-night movie for me.
Me too. Yeah. I wish I would have saw that in theaters though.
Yeah, I could do a 3-hour movie, but there's just something about with the pacing of it. I'm like, you know what? This seems like a good point to pause. I'll pick this right back up tomorrow.
Right. Let's see here. I'm going to throw some comments in here. Got a lot of people in the chat just saying, what's up? Yo, how's it going?
Howdy, everyone.
Very nice. Yeah. Movie Warehouse did the same thing when he got a job. I think that's what a lot of collectors did. They just got a job just so they could collect more stuff. That kind of seems to be a good consensus.
When you're a teenager and you have nothing to spend your money on, I mean, my parents paid my my insurance for my car, like everything. So
yeah,
I had nothing. They thought, oh, you'll save money up. I didn't save a dime. I spent it all.
Yeah, no, I learned that the hard way. Like, you definitely have to save stuff because your parents aren't going to buy you everything forever.
Well, as a teenager, you don't grasp that stuff sometimes.
No, God, no. I'm just like, I want the cool stuff now, and that's why I get a job, not for necessities.
And then all those DVDs that I spent $20, $25 on, I see them at the thrift store for like a quarter.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for buying all those damn CDs. Like, I didn't have internet where I was growing up, so I needed to have those, and I remember spending like $20-25 on some of those CDs, and now they're pretty much worthless.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Let's steer a little bit more into Criterion. I know you like the label. You picked this label to talk about. Why did you fall in love with Criterion in the first place?
It's a label that challenges me. Like I said, it's not a label that I could just pop the movie on and just kind of, I'm going to pick my phone up and go on Instagram or something like that. Like, Criterion is a sit down, pay attention pieces of art. Like, that's what they are. These movies, they either say something impactful, they're culturally relevant, they're just fantastic movies. Like, Criterion, when that C on that spine, it says something. It's a badge of honor, and I love this. There's not many Criterion movies I've watched that have been like, ew, this isn't for me. I've finished and either been like, I love this, or I respect the heck out of it and understand why it's in the collection, even if it's not fully for me.
Yeah, there's a couple that I have in my collection that I'm like, why did this, like, what was it? Jellyfish Eyes, I think is what it is. Like, I don't know why this got a release at all. I didn't even like the movie. But for the most part, it is kind of like a cinematic stamp. You're like, okay, this got their seal of approval. I will give it a watch blindly. And more often than not, it turns out to be amazing.
Yeah. The only thing I feel like I would tweak with them, and I guess it's just how they like to run, is if they get a certain director or actor or something, there's a good chance you're going to see more of that director or actor in the future, because they kind of just keep like to run with the same person over and over again. Like, Cary Grant has like 4 or 5 movies in the collection or something like that. Yeah. And I love his stuff, but at a certain point, if you're just keep pulling from the same actor, you're just grabbing his movies just because.
Sure.
That happens with the directors too. So there's actors I love that I would like to see make it in the collection, and they have nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I would love Audrey Hepburn. Feels like she should have something in the collection.
Right.
Wouldn't a Breakfast at Tiffany's be like perfect?
It makes a lot of sense to put in there for sure. Yeah. I don't know if the studio that released that just wants to keep that and release it forever or what.
I don't know. But the thing is, Breakfast at Tiffany's, when you look up like good releases of it, they're not doing anything with the movie really. You know,
I wonder if there's a big anniversary coming up for it.
Hopefully there's something planned, because man, it's pretty lackluster, the editions we have of it.
Right. The first, you say directors, the first thing I think of when I think of Criterion is Wes Anderson. Just because like a lot of his releases are on there. He kind of has a unique style that kind of fits Criterion to me. When I first started collecting, that's the first like grouping that I went to. Is like, okay, I got to get all the Wes Andersons, because the packaging for his movies look amazing. Like, every single one does.
Yep.
It just kind of encapsulates his style, which, that's another reason why I love collecting physical media, just because, especially with Criterion, they do a very good job with their packaging and making their stuff stand out.
Yeah. So I think Scorsese a lot, because we already have a chunk of his. You mentioned about Killers of the Flower Moon. That's a good possibility of coming. You see a Scorsese movie, like, that might come to Criterion at some point. And then another...
If they picked up The Irishman, they already have a relationship. I guess this is Apple TV Plus. I guess who knows what they're going to do. Yeah. But if they already worked with some streaming service, I could see them trying to do the same thing with work with Scorsese. That's not a bad combo.
So hopefully, but also another one, there's a fair enough amount of Hitchcock, but none of it is really the iconic Hitchcock for the most part.
Right.
because the studio, like Universal, released all those 4K sets themselves. They don't want to give up. They don't want to give up a Vertigo or a Rope or something like that.
They're okay with giving up like 39 steps. A lot of like the younger Hitchcock stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like we got like Rebecca and stuff like that. But man, I would love to see some like the really iconic stuff. But even they still never re-released Spellbound though. Spellbound is in their collection on DVD only. They never upgraded it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing that's interesting about them. Like back in the day, like the DVD day, they had a release of Armageddon, and they just a whole bunch of random ass movies, Silence of the Lambs. And it's just like I know Kino kind of grabbed that one and released the 4K. So I'm curious like what type of movies that are stuck in their collection on DVD will ever get released again on Blu-ray or 4K if they haven't yet.
Yeah. God, I don't know. Could you imagine a re-release of Armageddon?
that would be amazing.
That would be insane.
That release has the Ben Affleck commentary that is just he's like drunk out of his mind, and he's just like gushing about how much he did not like working on the movie or working with Michael Bay too much because he was a crazy person as well. It's like the main reason why you should own that version of the movie.
Yeah. So I've said this several times too. As much as I love Criterion because of their kind of artsy picks and stuff, I do really think they need to, if not monthly, at least bi-monthly, they need to have that big popular every person release and then throw in your everyday artsy stuff that they do as well. Like the stuff like The Others or Thelma and Louise, that stuff that like any regular person can see and be like, oh, I don't collect Criterion, but that's a cool movie. I want that.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think they did do a good job this year of at least having one of those either a month or every other month just to kind of sprinkle in, okay, people who might not collect, you like this movie, just kind of see what we're about.
Yeah, they need to keep that going because some of these months though they're just kind of like all artsy stuff and like you're not getting the regular everyday collector with that stuff. Like The Others made it to Best Buy even because like, hey, The Others is a Nicole Kidman movie. A lot of people know it. They need stuff like that sprinkled in.
Right. I remember back in the day when a Curious Case of Benjamin Button came out, when that movie came out on Blu-ray, it came out as a Criterion edition.
Yeah.
That would be very cool to see. Like what? I know Fincher has The Killer out. That's coming out on Netflix. I would love to see that come out within the next 6 to 9 months on Criterion on like a 4K or something. That would be amazing. Just to be like, hey, if you don't have Netflix and you want to watch a new Fincher, like I feel like that's the way that they should go. Newer movies that come out, if you can get like a first release on Criterion, I know it's rare, but I think they need to start doing a little bit more of that just to kind of stay relevant.
Yeah. So something I would love to see them do, they have hardly dabbled in anything television wise. You said Fincher, and they already have a relationship with Netflix. Something like Mindhunter would be amazing to release on disc. You're talking, what was it, 10 episodes, 8 episodes?
Well, there were a couple seasons of Mindhunter, right?
Yeah, they weren't long, so it was only 2 seasons. So
maybe, have they ever done a TV show? That would be interesting.
I don't know if they ever. I feel like they did something related to TV, but they should do something like that. And then I've heard a rumor that they're going to do a whole Twin Peaks set. I don't know.
That would make a lot of sense.
I don't know the validity to that, but I mean, it does make sense, and I can totally see that.
Did that box set that had the new episodes of Twin Peaks with the old ones, did that come out on Blu-ray or 4K?
Ooh, I don't know because I didn't pick it up.
I thought it was a Blu-ray copy because I love seeing Criterion dip their toe more and more into 4K. If they came out with like a 4K edition of Twin Peaks, the complete collection, and that's not out yet, that would be a big one. That would be a big one.
Because apparently, who was it? It was the showrunner. One of the showrunners is the one who I guess retweeted someone talking about it. So like that kind of puts a little bit of validity to it, right?
I mean, if he's part of the show, I feel like that has more say than what you and I have to say.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that happens. That would be awesome. And I'd love to see them dip their toes in because we've been getting a lot more TV on Blu-ray lately. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, like a lot more.
Right. And I think it's because a lot of people like streaming is only going to be more and more expensive. And there are so many services that you can subscribe to. It might be nice. Like if you just have a service for one show, just buy the show, so you don't have to keep on paying monthly.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of people when The Office switched streaming services, people are like, oh, Peacock, I have to resubscribe. just buy the set. It's not that expensive.
Right. Yeah, I think the main battle that collectors face now, especially getting new people back in, is that they have to buy the player again. I know a lot of people that got rid of their collections, got rid of their players because they just stream everything. I think there will be like some type of intersecting a little bit more back into the collecting the stuff that you like. I think it will take a little bit though.
See, I always hear about the players, but then I think about video gaming is like the number one form of entertainment in the world. Like they make billions and billions, and there are hundreds of millions of game consoles
Right.
out there. And from the PS4 or no PS3 up is all Blu-ray, and from the Xbox One up is Blu-ray. So you're talking like hundreds of millions of households have players, even if they don't think about them as players. They're still Blu-ray players.
Right. No, and that's how Blu-ray grew and beat HD DVDs because the PS3 had the player.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Pretty much that was the death blow.
Right. Yeah, I know that current gen stuff has 4K and those are getting more and more relevant and readily available. That was the main reason why it didn't grow as quickly. Everybody was locked down in COVID and they couldn't get a console. They couldn't make them fast enough.
Yeah.
But I with the video game stuff, I am nervous that the next generation will push heavily on all digital, and you might have to like pay, or they might not even make a lot of like disk drives for that.
They might not, and that's we'll see in the future thing. But the good thing, at least, is retro gaming, just gaming market and retro gaming is so big that these consoles are just staying kind of not just in production so long, but people are constantly fixing them, refurbishing them. Like it's not one of those things where people are just going to let the consoles go by the wayside. Like there's going to be functioning PS3s and 4s and all that stuff for decades. Gamers won't let that go away.
Yeah, and if you're collecting video games, it just kind of makes sense that you collect other things too, like movies, if you have a player that plays them.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so many people I follow and talk to, gaming is kind of right there with movies.
Right. Yeah, that used to be me, and then I had kids, and now I'm like, I think I'm just going to stick with movies. I don't have enough time to play games and watch movies. So
my thumbs don't allow me to play games as much anymore. I don't know if it's arthritis setting in. I don't know. I can make it about a half hour, and then they start hurting.
It's a bitch getting old, Tim.
It really is.
Let's see here. We saw Menace to Society at Best Buy. Yeah,
yes,
they came out the 4K of that. That set looks awesome.
That's another crowd pleaser one. Like that's the crowd pleasers help a lot.
Tiana loves her Xbox a lot. I have Xbox and PlayStation, both the newer ones. My main 4K downstairs is that Xbox Series S, and that thing is dirt cheap, and it has a great 4K player on it.
Yeah. Game consoles are fantastic starter players. Some people get a little snobbish, like, ew, you play it on a game console. They're fine. They're not an Oppo player or something, but they're fine.
Right. The majority of people aren't going to buy those high-end players either.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the picture quality that I have with my current setup. I don't feel like I have the need to pay $500-$600 for a high tier end player.
Yeah, I have one of the nicer Panasonic ones, but I also use the game consoles in different areas too, and it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Right. No, I've got too many players for other things. I got a VCR hooked up. I have a Laserdisc player hooked up. Like I need space. So just one 4K dedicated player for me, please.
I saw your Laserdisc short, and man, I want one of those so bad. I have a collection of Laserdiscs but no player because I never run across a working player.
Yeah. Well, first I bought the collection from a guy. I bought like 120 Laserdisc movies for $20. He just wanted them gone. So I grabbed those, and it took me almost a year to find a player in my area that worked, that wasn't a stupid amount of money. So the lady just had the player for 20 years, just moved, and she's like, I don't need this anymore. Here you go. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. And it didn't have no problems with it yet. I'm hoping that it continues to not have problems. But I feel like I've watched a couple movies on Laserdisc for the month that I've had it. It's fun. Yeah, I mean it's like 480p. It's not the best quality, but it is kind of nostalgic, popping in some movies that you've seen before on that format.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had a Laserdisc at that time, because if you imagine that at the same time as VHS, like the quality over VHS is pretty substantial.
Yes, it is, and it would have blown my mind. And kind of circling back to Criterion, a couple of the Laserdiscs I have are Criterion collections. Like one of the ones I have is Crash from Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I'll grab one of the Criterion Laserdiscs at some point just to have it.
Right. Like a couple random ones. I since I bought Laserdiscs and I have a player, I've been looking online at like movies that I can get and just looking up what Criterion editions came out on Laserdisc. Um, Flesh for Frankenstein and like God, what's the Dracula Blood for Dracula? Like the two kind of like X-rated movies. Those came out on Criterion. Very bizarre.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look up what stuff came to Laserdisc for Criterion now. Now you're gonna make me go to eBay.
You jump down a rabbit hole, but this is a fun rabbit hole because I had no idea some of the movies that were actually released on that format. It's very cool to see.
I gotta get a player now, though.
Don't buy it online. Like online, people are still charging like $250, $300 for those. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gotten one yet because I'm trying to find one local, but my local area is not great. But
I've been looking off and on for like a couple years, but ever since I got the collection, I was looking like every week on Craigslist, and I finally just got lucky. I was able to snag it right on time before anybody else hit her up. I think I bought my player for like $50, and it came with like 4 or 5 movies. So,
Craigslist, huh?
Yeah. Or no, sorry, Facebook Marketplace. Both of those are kind of intertwined in my brain.
Yeah, because Facebook Marketplace I use all the time. I kind of just left everything else. Facebook Marketplace, I've found so many great deals on there.
It is the best. Yeah, we're talking about physical media here. If you want to beef up your collection or just like get a lot of stuff for cheap, I would say Facebook Marketplace and garage sales and thrift stores. Those are like my main 3 things that I check all the time.
Facebook Marketplace. The one time I would love to redo this deal. I got this deal off a guy. He took a really generic picture. It wasn't great, but I saw the spine of the one and I saw the Manta Lab logo. Nice. And this was like a dark picture. And what he wanted for the whole stack was not much. It was like $120 for the whole stack. I got the Shape of Water Manta Lab. I got an out-of-print Arrow Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray and some other steel books and some other stuff. I ended up paying something like $1 something for the Shape of Water Manta Lab when you break it down. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. See, I haven't found anything that good. I'm about to meet a guy this weekend, and I saw a bunch of like boutique label stuff, and he was asking $5 each, and he still had the majority of it left. So I'm going to get some 4K Kinos, some 4K Scream Factories in a couple days, and I cannot wait.
That's cool. Yeah, we ran across one of those type of deals too, where the guy, we went to his garage. He had all these totes filled with stuff. We got the Friday the 13th, the tin set that came out before.
Back in the day, the black one.
Yeah, we got the tin set and some other stuff. That was like, I think he was charging $3 a title or something, and he charged like $5 for the tin set. Yeah, I was like, this is crazy. We pretty much spent all our money that we had with us, and wish we could had more money because he had a lot of cool stuff.
Right. I found a couple of Criterions when I'm like going to thrift stores and stuff. They've been all DVDs, but it's still cool whenever you find any boutique label in a thrift store. I found a Death Becomes Her Scream Factory at Goodwill, and I'm like, what is this doing here? It's still sealed and everything. I'm like, okay, that's mine.
Death Becomes Her is so fun, man.
Love that movie. It's great. Not enough people talk about it. I feel like more people need to see that sucker.
Meryl Streep is so weird in it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I want to see that side of her more.
Yes, I wish she would bring that out. I think she might be a little too old to do that anymore, but it's a blast to see it in that movie.
Make it happen. You got it, Meryl.
Right. Tiana wants to check out more movies from Criterion. That kind of brings me to this next segment. We're talking about 12 Angry Men. That movie is a black and white movie, and I feel like not enough people talk about black and white movies.
No.
Criterion Collection has a lot of them to choose from.
Yes, they do.
I have a stack of movies here that I want to get your opinion on. All of them are black and white. I've seen all but one, so I kind of want to just get your 2 cents on what I have to show. First one, Stanley Kubrick film. We have The Killing.
Ooh, that's not one I've seen yet, actually.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No, I have not seen The Killing yet. I am so behind on Kubrick. People love him, and not that I don't like him. There's just a lot of his filmography I haven't seen yet.
No, I love digging into a director's filmography and just going through it. I did Kubrick earlier this year. I still haven't made it all the way through, but this is the one that I watched this year.
Yeah.
Love it. I love heist films, and this is a great example of how to do a good one. So if you haven't seen it, I do recommend.
Yeah, that's on the shelf, and I keep meaning to get to it and just haven't gotten to it yet.
Well, the other Kubrick I was going to pull is Paths of Glory. Have you seen that one?
I have seen Paths of Glory.
Okay. What do you think of that one?
I liked it a lot. It's really good. I World War II or World War One, you can't really miss. We don't get enough World War One. Kirk Douglas is freaking awesome. The one thing is I have to see the Criterion one because what I watched was the Kino 4K.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great movie.
That is one thing to talk about. I kind of want to do that when we talk about 12 Angry Men, because I feel like Kino has been taking a lot of their 4K upgrades of what Criterion put out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know why Criterion is kind of letting that stuff go. I love watching a black and white movie in 4K. I think they look so crisp. Black levels look amazing in black and white movies on 4K. So I don't know why Criterion wouldn't want to release those.
Yeah, I don't know. It must just be Criterion just doesn't want to pay that whatever that price is, though, because you would think in the end Criterion would get first dibs, right?
Yeah. I don't know if like their exclusivity dies off if they haven't talked about it or released a new version of it in a couple of years. I really don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know, because but at least Kino didn't take like full rights, though. It's just 4K rights, so you still get the Criterion in print and the Kino at the same time, which is kind of weird, but still good.
Yeah, best of both worlds there.
Yeah.
Okay, next movie I have to talk about. Have you seen A Hard Day's Night?
I have, but not the Criterion version.
What version did you watch?
I watched on TV.
How long ago was this?
Stream. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I didn't see that then. Let me look up.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. I watched this movie when I was in high school. It was like one of the first black and white movies I watched. Absolutely loved it. I'm a big fan of the Beatles.
God, I've seen several Beatles things. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you've seen one, it's either gonna be Yellow Submarine or Hard Day's Night.
Yeah. All right. I want to get your opinion on this. This came up at work. We were talking about how much relevancy some bands will have with people 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
100 years down the road. Do you think people will still know who the Beatles are? Because my opinion was yes, but the people at work definitively said no one will know who the Beatles are.
I am starting to get, like, with the new generation, they do not know who they are, which makes me very upset. Like, I was still like 2 generations before the Beatles were a thing or were over, really. Yeah. So I still love them. I think you're going to have to search for them. I don't think it's going to be readily available. It's like, oh, hey, have you heard this? Like, a friend from a friend will pass it on. Because, I mean, there's only 2 left. McCartney does some things with some famous people sometimes. Ringo does his own fucking weird art stuff. But, yeah, I want to say in my heart of hearts in 100 years, people still know who the Beatles are. I think they will. But there is a shadow of doubt in my brain just with this generation not really talking about them that much.
So and maybe it's because they're composers, but like we still know who Bach is and Beethoven and Vivaldi. Like we know about these people that died hundreds of years ago. I feel like there should be some relatively current musicians that should still kind of hold that presence in pop culture. And to me, I felt like a Michael Jackson, a Beatles, some people like that should still hold that.
See, I was thinking like 100 years back. I'm trying to think of music that came out in the 1920s. I can really only think of like Louis Armstrong. Like he's the one that comes to my mind. Everybody else, I'm like, I really don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think the Beatles, like if you talk about a band in the 60s, the Beatles should be number 1. But yeah.
It's interesting. I guess I may or may not be alive in 50 years. I will not be alive in 100 years, but I guess I'll see when I'm a really old man on my deathbed. Do people still remember who the Beatles are? Because if they forget them, that will be a shame.
Yeah. I know that I play the Beatles music in my car with my kids, so they will know who the Beatles are, but I think it's just going to have to be passed down like that.
Yeah. So anyways, how's that release? Because I picked it up in my hands.
Yeah, no, I like it. I don't know if they've made like a smaller standard edition. I really like the box set that this comes in. It comes with a huge booklet in there as well. A lot of great special features. Like there's a whole disc of just special features in here, which is I love Criterion for that. I think that's one of the main reasons why I fell in love with the label in the first place, is that I'm always a sucker for special features, and when they kind of put their time and dedicate certain segments or a whole disc of just new supplemental material,
Yeah.
I'm a kid in a candy store. I love that stuff.
Yeah. I'll have to grab that though. So here's one last Beatles thing before we move on.
Yeah.
Who or Beatles? Which one?
For me,
you like
Beatles.
You like Beatles more?
I like Beatles. I mean, I like the Who. I like the Who better than Rolling Stones, but I would still pick Beatles over all of them.
Yeah, so I'm not really a Rolling Stones guy, but I always slightly preferred the Who though, and the Who came out like right around the same time, but they didn't catch fire here like the Beatles did.
Right.
I love the Who.
Yeah, no, they're both fun listens, but I feel like the Beatles has a song for me in any mood that I'm in. And the Who is just like, okay, I'm excited. Let's stay excited type of music.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. The next title I have for you, I know I'm 95% sure you've seen this one. One of my absolute favorites, Charlie Chaplin in Modern Times.
Yes, I finally saw it. Finally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My name is TimTalksTalkies. My silent era is very little. So the amount of Chaplin and Buster Keaton and anyone like that I've seen is pretty small. I still haven't grown the love for silent era yet, I guess. I don't know what it is. I'll get there, but I love from talking era on though. So but that is good though. I've liked what I've seen of Chaplin.
Right. And I want to see more, but yeah, again, it's just the silent era is very daunting to me. It's just like, I know that I should dig into this, but I'm always skeptical. Like I have other stuff. I have stuff in color I need to watch. I got some horror movies that I need to hate back here that I need to actually watch for the first time.
So the thing with the silent era though, that I think most impresses me that I should love and watch more of is the fact that they did all their stunts and they did some crazy stuff. Like it's shocking that more of these guys didn't die on set.
Yeah,
with the types
Buster Keaton went crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but in Modern Times, there's a literal scene where he takes cocaine and goes absolutely nuts. And like, that was in a movie in the 20s. How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's wild. The house dropping with through the window. Yeah. Like if you time that in the wrong spot, like you're getting crushed. It's crazy the stuff that they did.
No, in this movie, Charlie Chaplin is on an assembly line and has to like kind of keep up with all the moving pieces.
Yeah.
Gets me every time. Like with that type of slapstick comedy, it's timeless. And I know that it's daunting to watch a silent black and white movie. I think Modern Times holds up still today and is relevant today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to see. I keep hearing how great is it Safety Last, right? Is the name of it Safety Last or Safety First?
I'm not sure.
Someone in the comments, correct. It's either Safety Last or Safety First. But that's the one where he's hanging off the clock tower.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. I keep hearing how amazing that one is. Like I said, I've seen a tiny minuscule amount of silent era.
Well, Mel definitely knows, right, Mel? You got to tell us.
Mel is a huge silent era fan.
That's what I hear, yeah. Okay, next movie that I have is one that I haven't seen, and I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about it. Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah. And if you don't know, the cinematographer of 12 Angry Men is the same cinematographer for On the Waterfront.
Well, will you look at that?
Yes.
Some symmetry. Yeah, I know it's about boxing, and I love any boxing movie I've seen, so I know I just need to watch it. I'll get around to it at some point.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I keep on hearing. I wanted to get your 2 cents. That's why I threw it in the pot.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Killer pick, and now I want to rewatch that.
Right.
And no bad movie. Safety Last. That is it. Okay. I knew it's something like that.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these movies I just need to play catch up on, and there's not enough time in the day.
Yep.
But I have seen that clock scene from that movie. It's great.
Yeah, it's an iconic scene, and I just keep hearing how amazing the movie is. So I'll have to get there.
Well, one black and white movie that finally got the 4K treatment from Criterion is an amazing movie. Another boxing movie. It's Raging Bull.
God, yes.
Yeah.
That is
This
great.
movie looks so good. I love the transfer that's on there.
Crystal clear, looks fantastic. That was another crowd pleaser one too. When that one got announced, people were raving, rightfully so. It's a fantastic release.
Yep, that's a big deal. I want to say I got that one on the last 50% off Criterion sale because I'm like, I just need it. I know that they're not going to run out of Raging Bull because you can't. So I will just get it whenever it goes on sale.
Yep.
I think that's another reason why I added more to Criterion first than any other boutique label, is because even back in the day when I started collecting for this stuff like 6, 7, 8 years ago, Barnes & Noble was still having the half off, the 50% off sales in November is the only time that I knew about it.
Yeah. So the one thing though is I try to temper my spending on the sales, because the one thing I love about Criterion is they never go out of print unless they legit just outright lose the rights to it. They're like forever in print. So there never feels like that, oh, I have to get this copy right now. Like there's not that FOMO of I need the copy right now. Like if I don't get it right now, I'll get it next sale or the sale after that. Yeah. It'll be the same exact thing.
For me, the only exception with that is if it's in like different packaging. If it's in this standard packaging, just like the clamshell stuff, that's fine, and I can wait until a sale. But they're like the Thelma and Louise box. There was a box set for Scanners that only released in that box, and then it got the standard release treatment. So whenever it gets like a nice box set like that, I will grab it because I'm always afraid that they're not going to print those in the future and that it'll have the same discs and everything, but it might just go to like a standard edition.
So this might be a hot take. I have the Blu-ray for Night of the Living Dead and the 4K. I prefer the 4K in just the typical case than the cardboard case digipack.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray of The Princess Bride in the book. And for some reason, the 4K is thicker, but it's like the same book and pressing and everything. It's weird what they change, especially when they go to different formats, but the packaging is almost the same. Why don't you didn't like the box on the Blu-ray of Night of the Living Dead?
It's not that I didn't like it. I don't love them compared to, I think their regular cases are just so beautiful and simple.
They're clean. Yeah.
And the Night of the Living Dead one didn't feel like a special box, I guess. I don't know, like nothing about it was like, oh, if I missed that version, I like the 4K one, to be honest. It's nice.
Yeah, but that movie, I bought the 4K Steelbook from Germany. I love.
I bought that too.
Yeah, own as many copies of Night of the Living Dead as you can. It's a classic.
Yeah,
you can pretty much get it for free anywhere, but you're still gonna buy them.
Yeah.
Okay, those were the 5 movies that I had. If you are okay with it, I'm going to go into the movie review that we're talking about today.
I just want to throw out one recommendation for you real quick, though.
Sure.
Night of the Hunter.
Haven't seen it. I have not seen it.
That is a must. That is an absolute must. Talking black and white in Criterion. Yeah. I know it has a Kino 4K, but the Criterion is absolutely stacked with special features, and it's a phenomenal movie. So that will be one recommendation I'd throw out there.
Do you know if a lot of those special features transferred over to the 4K?
They didn't all. Some stuff did, but not all.
Gotcha. Because usually when it comes to black and white movies, I would prefer to get the 4K just because I think you can see a difference.
Yeah, you can. Man, that it's a 3-disc set. It's really freaking nice. 3 or 2. Either way, it's a packed set. Like there's hours and hours and hours of special features.
Sure. Good to know. No, I've heard good things about that movie, but yeah, I'll definitely have to get it higher on my list for sure.
All right, let's dive in.
12 Angry Men, buddy.
Yes.
Criterion Collection set. I watched this movie for the first time in high school, and I have not watched it since. So I knew that I liked it from high school, but again, we talked about how our tastes change the older you get. What a phenomenal movie this is.
Yep. Absolutely. So I love set in one location movies, but this is like the prime example of taking a movie that is pure dialogue, nothing else but dialogue, and keeping you absolutely enthralled for an hour and a half of just 12 men discussing the innocence or guiltiness of one person. It's absolutely like edge of your seat, especially the first time you see it or first time in a long time.
Right.
Because the knife on the table is an actual audible gasp moment.
It's amazing. It's very good. Yeah. And it shocks anybody that I've talked to when they see it for the first time. Just like, oh my God. Yeah. And just, I know that they're stuck in a room, but the different camera angles that Sidney Lumet gets in there, just, and I don't know. I think there's like 365 cuts in this thing, and the majority of them are in like the last half hour because he wanted the tension to build a little bit, and he just wanted to kind of like focus and do very slow pans and just kind of have the tension build. And I think the way that this movie's cut, the dialogue is phenomenal. Like everything just builds on top of itself. And yeah, what an amazing experience.
So you probably watched a bunch of the special features that the camera angle starts higher with wide angle at the start of the movie to make the room feel larger. And as the movie keeps going and getting tense, it keeps getting lower and lower towards the end where you're almost looking up at the actors, making everything feel more claustrophobic as the tensions are risen, where like there's only 3 people left that are still saying guilty. Oh my God. It's the camera work in that movie is freaking outstanding. Right. It was nominated for cinematography as well.
Yeah, it should have been. I know we were talking about the special features a little bit. One thing I love when a movie has an extra movie in its special features, I get so giddy. And this one had the 1954 TV version of 12 Angry Men that got adapted to this movie. And just seeing what the TV version looked like compared to what the movie looked like, night and day. I gave it like a full star upgrade. It's pretty much the exact same story, but the way Lumet directed this thing and the way the cinematography looks, it adds so much to the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. There's multiple TV things in here too. Because what's the other one? The Tragedy of a Temporary Town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is that picture quality was rough though. Like
on the TV version, but I mean it's from 54 and they didn't keep a lot of great records back in the day, so yeah, it is what it is. It's just cool that it's on there.
It's awesome. It was there. It was preserved. It was rough though. It was really rough. With what's his name, Vance Kelly, that special feature, like 25 minutes long, going in depth about it. That was fantastic. That was great.
Yep, they give great talking head interviews on Criterion because they get like an expert in the field, and they definitely spill their knowledge out, and I love hearing every bit of it.
I think they killed it with the special features, but there's actually different special features on this though too, which is interesting.
And what version is that, Tim? The Kino 4K?
Yes. Yeah. The Kino Lorber has a different, basically not making of, but the history and story, kind of what that Vance Kelly went into on the Criterion, is covered on this with different people in almost the same way. And I think it's from the DVD, maybe they ported it from the DVD days, because it was 480p. It was filmed. Everyone was still like Sidney Lumet was still alive, and he passed in like 2011, I think. So it was relatively old, but yeah. So different special features compared between the two.
Transfer wise, does the 4K look much better than what the Blu-ray does on Criterion?
It's noticeably better, but the Criterion is also really fantastic. That's the one thing. Their Blu-rays are already so top notch.
Yeah,
that I feel like the Kino 4Ks are almost incremental. Like you notice it, but it's not this massive stark difference, I guess, because this is already a fantastic transfer.
Yeah, it's a 2K transfer though, if I'm not mistaken. So I wasn't sure if like the 2K from that Blu-ray transfer as opposed to the new 4K, if it was a huge difference.
This was earlier this year, right? The Kino, was it early this year or was it late last year?
It's about a year ago. I can't remember when it came out, but I know it's fairly new.
I watched this right when it came out, and I gave this a second rewatch today, the Criterion, and I still thought this looked great. I mean, granted, I didn't watch both in the same day, but I still thought the Criterion looked great. I would still recommend this to someone. I wouldn't say definitely ditch this for this. If you're a Criterion collector, 12 Angry Men release is fantastic, and it's got different special features than this does.
Right. And that's the main reason why I love collecting, or I might have multiple movies in my collection of the same movie, is just because special features are different. Like I will keep some DVDs in my collection just because, yeah, there's a special feature on here I don't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
man,
the special features on the Criterion were really freaking good.
yes,
The
the movie's only like 95 minutes or so, and
yeah,
I spent more time watching special features than I did the actual movie.
yeah. The archival interviews with Sidney Lumet, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The interview with Boris Kaufman, who, like I said, that's the same cinematographer as On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So this is a really good release.
Yeah.
Really,
and one thing I didn't know, this was Sidney Lumet's first movie.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's amazing. Like the stuff that they did, especially like the floating panning camera on some of these things. I'm like, how did you do that your first movie back in the 50s? Like that wasn't done too often.
Yeah. So for anyone watching too that you don't know, this is Sidney, like he said, this is Sidney Lumet's first movie, but also Henry Fonda got the rights to this and got Sidney Lumet involved based off of his TV work, because Sidney Lumet was purely a TV director.
Right.
And part of what made this movie so special and work is because there's a different preparation for filming TV shows than there is for movies, that Sidney had everyone just drill this stuff into them before cameras even started rolling.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, they just ran over the script, which is not very common. And you can tell they only had 21 days to shoot this thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. So once they started going, like it was a tight shoot, but things went great because everyone just had this down. Like it was so well done. And obviously Sidney Lumet just blew up from there for great reason. But you could tell his TV sensibilities are what helped that.
Agreed. Well, the person who directed the 54 version, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he ended up directing Patton, and he ended up directing Planet of the Apes.
Wow, that I didn't know. That's awesome, actually.
It's crazy. Yeah, like everybody that's directed a version of 12 Angry Men has went on to great things. Who did the 97 version? I know we haven't talked about that
William
yet.
Friedkin.
I thought it was Friedkin. Okay, yeah, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
How is the 97 version? I know we're jumping all over the place here, but I didn't even know the 97 version was a thing until I started doing some research for the podcast. And the cast is pretty decent in that movie.
Oh, gosh, yeah. So I'd almost argue it's switching out great actors for great actors. So there's the 97, which also happens to be included in the 4K for Kino Lorber. It's just
I'll make you a little bigger.
So the 1997 one has a standalone release, but is also included in this if you're interested. But this has, we have Courtney B. Vance, Ossie Davis, who fellow Bubba Hotep fans would know him. George C. Scott, phenomenal classic actor. We got James Gandolfini pretty early in his career. We got Tony Danza. We have Jack Lemmon, Edward James Olmos. Like, this cast is incredibly stacked.
That's
and
great.
This is a stacked cast too, but you're almost switching out, great actors in here for just other great actors. Now, there's a couple of things about this one that are a little bit weird as choices, but it's still, if this is a 10 out of 10, this is still like a 9 out of 10. Like it's great, and it's almost the same movie. Like,
sure. No, instead of doing like the Psycho shot for shot remake, I would be okay if this movie got remade every 25 years and just see how like everything in society, like anything that's different or anything, just how current society is, plays in this script. Because I feel like this script is timeless. Yeah.
Oh, so as you watch, then you notice the script really is like 95% the same exact script. He only made so this is actually the same screenwriter adapted this that did this, which is awesome.
That is great.
So yeah, he just basically took his script and updated it for current times, made some slight tweaks, expanded a couple of scenes just a little bit, added in, instead of a fan, it's AC, and some other like little updates for current time, added in a little bit more language because the original has no language really, where the 97 has some. So there's some slight updates. The cast is more diverse than the original.
Yep.
But it's it's really freaking good. The main weird things on this is, so the character of the old man, which would be Juror 9,
Yeah.
in he is legitimately an older man in the original. He's noticeably older than everyone else in the room. In this one, he's really not. Like, you have Ossie Davis in the room, Jack Lemmon in the room, George C. Scott. Like, these people are really pretty similar in age. And then when you're taking the same dialogue as this and adapting it in here, some of the things they're talking about with them is like, it's kind of weird where you're referring to this guy as the old man. He's like almost your same age.
Is Henry Fonda in that movie?
In
the 97?
No.
Okay. I thought it would have been a very cool touch if he would have like went to like an old man role or just a different role in the movie.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool. So one of the, like, I guess the age of the actors is like one of the weirdest things of it, because the cast is substantially older in this than in this one. Like, a lot of the actors are either middle-aged to like flat out just old men. So Juror 2 in the original is a relatively young, scrawny man. I don't know his age in the original.
Very high-pitched voice, yeah.
Yeah. In the 97, it's Ossie Davis. That is a massive difference in age. So when he's saying some of the dialogue, it's a little weird. Like, he's talking about his job at the bank, and I'm thinking, like, you'd be retired, man. Like, you're flat out, you're retired, you're past retirement age. Like, this, it's kind of weird hearing him talk about his job and stuff. So I don't know. It's just some slight weird things with the age, but past that, I mean, George C. Scott absolutely kills it in the same role as Lee Cobb, because oh my God, what a villainous evil role that was.
Very much so. The story is just so strong in this, and I love the fact that there's 3 different versions of the same script, and it's still impactful no matter what version you watch.
Yeah,
it's very cool to hear. Yeah, and I love the fact that, like, as the tensions build in this story, the heat is also building, and that just kind of adds to the fire that's getting built inside of the room. Just, I love how one verdict goes one way, and he is like, I don't even know if this is the right thing to be saying yet or not. I just don't think this man is guilty. I don't know if this man is completely guilty. I don't know if he's innocent either. We just need to talk things out a little bit more. And the roller coaster as the plot progresses is just so fun to watch.
Every time he calls for a vote, and then you're just seeing that one extra hand or 2 extra hands go up. There's so much like, who is it next? Because it would always, the camera would be focused on the hand going up, and then it would pan to who the person is.
Yep.
So well done.
Very fun.
I talked about the villainy of Lee Cobb's role, and then George C. Scott's role in the remake. That character is despicable. Like, absolutely just horrible person, taking out all of what he feels about his son and projecting it onto this young man, wanting him to die for it.
Right.
Oh my God. His character
when he pulled out the picture at the very end. He finally like realizes what he's doing, and that's when he kind of breaks down and finally switches his vote.
Yeah, it was great. And then the other villainy type role, Ed Begley, was he was really good.
I think he's more gross than juror number 3 for sure.
Ed Begley, when he goes into his racist rant, and everyone just pretty much silently gets up and walks away from the table, is such an impactful moment, because even like Lee Cobb's character, juror number, he's 3, right? Yeah, he's 3.
Yep.
When he even gets up and turns his back, like, this guy is awful, and
that's
even he is turning his back.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, and that scene plays a lot better in the 58 version than it did in the 54 version, just because the 54 version with the TV shot, he couldn't get wide enough out, so all of them just kind of stayed in one corner. I love in the Lumet version where they all just kind of spread out on the table and pretty much just like go to the nearest wall and just were like, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say anymore.
Yeah, which again, this is the best version of that scene, because in the 97 one, it's them getting up, but also like individual people being like, shut up and sit down, stop talking. And the scene plays out a little bit longer. And I feel like instead in the 56 or 57 version, that silence plays better. No one is saying anything. They're just getting up and they're speaking by saying nothing, just turning their back to him, says
That's saying
everything.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has an absolute basically breakdown. And that's portrayed better than in the 97 one, where instead the guy just goes into the corner. He's like, I still think he's guilty, but whatever.
No, in the Lumet version, it kind of feels like he's like, oh, I'm in the wrong here. And he like doesn't really say another word until he votes not guilty. Like that's all he really says after that.
Yeah, no, he goes and sits at that table all alone and is basically he's like a broken man at that point.
You know what that character also does that I think would play differently today? He's coughing all over the place. if that were to take place now, especially like post-COVID and everything, it would play completely different. That's why I think every 20, 25 years or so, they should just remake this movie. Just because I think there's more different things to say, but also saying the same thing.
Yeah. You really can. You could just keep updating this movie, just make slight tweaks, because most of the dialogue just works regardless. Like most of the dialogue from 57 and 97 still just works.
I when I was watching this, I couldn't help myself but think, if I were to like cast this movie made today, who would I do, and like what kind of remake would I want to make here? I have a list here. Do you mind if I go over some of the actors that I would love to be in this movie?
Go for it.
I love when comedic actors play dramatic roles. And sometimes when they do that, they win Oscar gold. It's just like, it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot easier for comedic actors to play dramatic than the other way around, just because it's so hard to be any type of funny. To kind of get that energy and put it in a dramatic role works more than it doesn't for me. So a lot of these actors that I chose here are from the comedy realm, and I think would do gangbusters if they had a dramatic action. First one that I thought of, juror number 3, the last one to vote not guilty. I thought Kevin James, because I think he could do amazing.
Totally see that.
I just watched Becky for the first time this year, and his dramatic chops are amazing in that movie. I absolutely loved everything about him.
Yeah, so I could 100% see that.
Okay, that's the first one that came to mind. The next one, just because he's more dramatic now, but he started out as a comedic actor, John Goodman. I would love to see him in this, and he'd be one of the old men too. I feel like he would be a good racist. I don't know why, but John Goodman would be great in that role.
So a juror number 10.
Yeah.
I could see that. Okay.
This one I kind of picked because I would like to see him in the movie, but I would also like to see him direct the movie. Bo Burnham.
Ooh, what role do you think for?
A lot of these I don't have what the certain role would be. Maybe like juror 4 or 5. They kind of were like the same person. Maybe number 5. He was just, or maybe the last guy at the very end, the advertising exec. I can see Bo Burnham doing that. Yeah. I just think what he did with Inside was already like a single location movie. I loved what he did with 7th Grade, number 1. And what he did with a single location with that comedy special, I think he could do a lot of innovative things within that one room. So I would like to see what he would do.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Somebody that... Sorry, you go.
I was thinking, in my mind, I was thinking, though, the old man role. So juror 9. Morgan Freeman would be really cool for that, I think.
Right. Especially... especially with him being a different race than what's been in all the other versions. I think that would be a very unique, like maybe being racist towards the white people, the white community, instead of the other way around of what it has been. I think that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right.
Another person who has done more dramatic work as of late on TV, Jason Sudeikis. I would like to see what he would do in this.
Ooh, I really like him.
I do too. I think he's great. And even when he was on SNL, he would do a lot of like old timey characters, and he would do them great. I think that would just fit well in this role.
Yeah, I could see all of those people, honestly.
Another one, and I thought of him, and then I watched a Criterion Closet. Have you watched any of those on YouTube?
Yeah, I watch them
they just go in. Yeah, it's pretty much like.
Think of the same person. I'm wondering if you're going to think of the same person as me.
Well, I thought of this person, and then I watched their latest Criterion Closet where he went and picked movies. One of the movies he picked was 12 Angry Men. Luis Guzman.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not who I was thinking, but okay.
He is like, this is the one where I'm like, maybe, but I kind of want to give him a shot because he talked up 12 Angry Men so much. So I know he has a passion for it. He talked to Sidney Lumet about it. He's been in serious roles, but he's still kind of like funny in those serious roles. I feel like him kind of cutting down some of the serious overtones might be a fun play with this cast. I feel like I would like to give him a shot and see what he would do.
Yeah. Okay, so I could see a Michael Shannon in one of the roles. I think he would kill it in the monologue type roles. So I could actually see him as the racist also for Juror 10.
Yeah.
He would totally, I think, kill that. That's what I was thinking with Criterion Closet, because
sure,
the very weird episode of that.
Yep. No, and he had like a big gif going around, like, oh wow, look at my bag of goodies. I feel like a young boy now, or whatever he said. It was hilarious. But yeah.
He's a very eccentric guy.
Yes, he is.
Another one, I could totally see Juror 7, the sports guy that wants to get to the ball game. I could see a Jake Johnson.
Oh, sure.
I think he would kill a role like that.
I could totally see that. I didn't, out of the list of people that I have left, I don't think I have a good one for that person, the sports game one. Maybe, I guess one that I have on my list is Kevin Pollak. He might be a good sports guy too.
I could see that.
Yeah. He could do a bunch of different roles. He's kind of like a chameleon actor, and I wanted a couple of those character actors in this movie too. Kevin Pollak was definitely one of them.
I always like him.
Yeah. Maybe this next actor would be the juror number 2, kind of like the younger person in the group. And I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's Nakuti Gatwa. He is. Have you ever seen the show Sex Education on Netflix? Well, he's on that, and he's amazing. He's the best friend of the main character. He was in Barbie this year as one of the Kens. He is going to be the new Doctor Who, so he's gonna get like pretty high up here, and he has amazing comedic timing, but he can also get very serious on that Sex Education show. And he also in Sex Education plays an LGBTQ person. And I feel like if you're gonna remake this movie, that has to be an element, because that's something that just was not into play relatively in at least the 97 version, I would assume. I haven't seen it, but I feel like that is another layer that you could have a ball of a time with in this movie.
Yeah, no, they updated races and stuff in the 97, but they still didn't dive enough. I would even, when the guy that wrote the screenplay, he talked about not adding women to it just because it would, then it would be 12 angry people, not 12 angry men. And I would like to add
I've stuck with men, but I wanted to put women. It's just called 12 Angry Men. So I'm like, can we do that? I don't know. I haven't thought about doing like a trans person in here, because I think that would bring another element too. I just couldn't think of a good one off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, if I was adding a woman though, I'd add Toni Collette.
That'd be amazing. She's amazing in everything.
Yeah. Oh God, bring that like Hereditary type power, I guess. Like she can just kill any type of monologue role.
Yeah, she can be super sinister or super caring and can switch on a dime. I would love to see that.
Yeah, she could even play the racist role and absolutely kill it too.
She could do any of these roles, and I would be like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another person that started in comedy but has been like all drama recently is Bryan Cranston.
Ooh, okay.
Would love to see him in this. Another Breaking Bad person. Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. So if we could get Jesse Plemons into the mix here, Yes. Just immediate yes. Anytime he's in a movie, I become happy.
Oh, him in Game Night is just so fantastic.
We talked a little bit about him in Killers of the Flower Moon is great. Like it takes a while for his character to get there, but once it does, it's like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
It's getting good again.
Yeah, I really like him. You did see Game Night, though, right?
Yeah, Game Night's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
strong.
Oh, his that can't be very profitable for Frito Lay with the whole they were buy one get two free. I love him.
Yeah, no, he is a great character on there, and I've loved him ever since Friday Night Lights. I think that's the first thing that I saw him in the TV show, and he's just become more and more of a character actor. And I'm hoping that he gets his due in like a big time role that actually focuses on him. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I got 3 more. I guess I talked about Friday Night Lights. This is like the only like non-comedic actor I have, but I would like to see what he would do. Kyle Chandler.
Oh, I love him. Oh my god.
Yeah, and he's not in enough now. I don't know what happened. Like he was in like Godzilla King of the Monsters is the last thing that I noticed he was in. But
yeah,
I want more of him in my life.
I love the show Early Edition. Did you ever see that one? Yeah, I love that show. And then even just his movie career, he was never really the lead, but man, whenever he is in the roles, the supporting roles, he's great. Like Super 8, he's the father.
Very
great.
strong in that.
Yeah.
No, I love him, and I wish he would get more work. And I think just him in this ensemble would only build it up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I have 2 more, and I don't feel strongly about either of these. But I'm like, maybe they might be good. I had John Boyega, and I had Randall Park.
I love Randall Park, man. Randall Park is, I would totally add him. I don't know what role.
Yeah, so, I don't either. I just kept on thinking of, okay, comedic actors that could do dramatic well. I feel like Randall Park is due to do something like that soon.
So did we say what role you think for Juror 8, like that linchpin to hold this all together?
The Henry Fonda role?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Did you say? Because the whole movie hinges on that character.
If I probably had to pick one person for that, it would be Bryan Cranston, but I don't know if he's too old for it now. That would be the main person to where I'd be like, okay, I could see the focus being on this character and people would be on board for it.
Yeah. So he could still play it off against the old man. That's in the 97 one, you have Jack Lemmon next to the old man when Jack Lemmon is also the old man.
Yeah.
But Henry Fonda was, I don't know his age, but he was probably only 40s in the original, probably somewhere in the 40s. But he wasn't that old.
No, he looked old, but I think he played both very well. I want to say somewhere in the 40s. I could see late 40s, but yeah, somewhere you have to be in that median range. So I don't know who I would choose out of my cast, but that is definitely a pivotal role. You don't want to mess that one up.
Yeah. I could see Cranston killing
Cranston might be too old. Cranston's what, 60-ish now?
Oh, maybe? Yeah, probably something there.
Yeah.
Either late 50s or 60s.
Right.
How about Jesse Plemons could do that role though. I think he could.
For him to get a starring role like that, I would absolutely love it. Yeah, because he would definitely be the focus. Yeah.
Yeah, he could totally do that.
I like it. God, what I also like about the Lumet version is the intro. I feel like that doesn't get enough talk because it just like slowly goes through the courtroom and just like you're like a fly on the wall, just kind of going through what that looks like. It's like, okay, this room that you're in, it's just one little piece of what's going on in this courtroom. It's just like, I love the way it like focuses inward. It goes from that and then it goes into the courtroom where you actually see the kid on trial to the actual juror's room. I loved everything about that. I loved the whole transition.
Yeah, agreed. The 97 one took it a little bit more where you heard and saw a little bit more. But yeah, it's great. So who would you have direct this anyway?
Bo Burnham. Yeah.
Oh, you'd have Bo Burnham do the directing also.
I would do actor and director. I think he would do some crazy stuff, some innovative stuff with like a one location movie.
I can see it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I loved, I thought 7th Grade was so strong, especially for a directorial debut. And he hasn't done anything since besides Inside. So I would like to see what he would do with something like that.
I could see that. That'd be cool. And it'd be A24 flick. It just
Oh man,
feels.
sign me up. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm getting too excited for this. It's not going to happen, but I would absolutely love it. Oof. Robert De Niro in comedy movies. I very hit or miss with me. Like whenever I think of that, I just think of Dirty Grandpa now, and that was terrible.
Robert De Niro in comedy that he, I guess, cares about, because some of the stuff is just he's taking you for a paycheck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the Ted Danson choice. Ted Danson would be
Ted
cool.
Danson. Yeah, he could be a good hateable character for sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw The Good Place, but he plays a
I
good
watched some
and
of it.
bad role. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Oh, Kyle Chandler was in Mayor of Kingstown. That's right. Yeah. I saw a couple episodes of that show. I liked it. I watch more movies than TV shows these days. I just to sink your time into a TV show, I just don't have enough of it right now. I wish I did though. I love
Is
I love
Mayor of
watching TV.
Kingstown a Jeremy Renner show, or am I
It is.
thinking
Yeah,
of?
that's one that's starring
Okay,
him. Yep.
all right.
Yeah, one of the main things you can watch on Paramount Plus. There's not a lot of options on there, but that's a good TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like though. Movie Warehouse mentions Kyle Chandler can do the talking about the Juror 8. I could
Mm-hmm.
see him doing Juror 8 also.
I could too. I always think of him as like a stern, serious role, and I feel like there's some. I feel like you need to have some persuasive qualities to play the Henry Fonda role. I don't know if Kyle Chandler has done that yet. I guess at least in his later roles that he's been in, I can't really think of one.
I mean, he has to do some persuasiveness on Early Edition, trying to
Yeah.
change,
Mm-hmm.
trying to change the course
Change
of.
the newspaper. I used to watch that show all the time, man.
Oh man, I have to pick up the complete series of it. I bought season 1 and 2, and then they never released 3 and 4 solo, and now there's a complete series.
Of course.
So I have 1 and 2 that I need to just sell off and just buy the complete.
No. Before we got in here, you were talking about that Stephen King box set. You're just going to buy the complete one just to have all of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, I really touched upon everything I had to say on 12 Angry Men. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we kind of wrap this thing up?
No, I feel like we covered everything, man. We hopped around between all the releases.
We did, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll just say you can't go wrong with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if you're a Kino person, you want the 4K, grab the 4K. You're going to get the 97 and the 57 in the same set. If you're even slightly okay with remakes, you will enjoy the 97 version. And then the Criterion release of the 57 is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So you really just pick a copy and buy it, because it's a fantastic movie no matter what way you go about it.
Yeah, I will say that after rewatching this after almost 20 years, it really makes me want to buy the 4K and just watch it more often than what I have been, because this movie is good. And if you guys are watching or listening to this and you have not seen 12 Angry Men, this is your sign to watch it. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 4K is great, man. The 4K is great. So I just recommend them all. Buy them all, everyone. Just buy all copies. Support the movie.
Oh, we didn't talk about, there was like a Russian remake, right? In 07?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I haven't seen the version, but there's a one called, it's just called 12, and it's a 2007 Russian version. I looked it up on IMDb. The movie runs 2 hours and 39 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I wonder what they add to it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because obviously, if they used the original script and adapted, they added a lot to it.
Yeah. Because even going from the TV version to the Lumet version, they added an extra half hour to that.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine adding an extra hour on top of this.
Yeah. What's funny, too, is, granted, I don't know anything about the Russian court system.
Mm-hmm.
Do they use juries? I
Couldn't
don't
tell you.
So I don't know how that adapts, because that feels very American.
Yeah.
Not all countries use juries.
They just call it 12 because all Russians are angry anyway. So just do 12. Oh, man.
Someone that watches or listens can school us on what exactly happens in the Russian court system.
Please. That would be wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on, Tim. I appreciate it a bunch. Do you have anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Not too much. I'm gonna have a lot of content this month, way more than I've had lately, and it's Noir November, so go enjoy some noir movies, especially Criterion. If you don't have Double Indemnity, go buy that. That 4K is fantastic.
I would say that's probably the one genre I have not seen that many movies in, is the film noir stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. And Criterion has I was actually going to put out a video on 5 Criterion noir recommendations. Just it fits the theme of the month, because I love that genre. So
yeah.
And
if you're listening to this and you have not bought a Criterion movie, now is the perfect time. Every November they have a 50% off sale where you can get any Blu-ray for $20, any 4K for $25. If you're gonna dip your toe into these waters, now is the time to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Double Indemnity, put it on the list. You will enjoy it.
Okay, I'm putting it on my list, Tim. So I appreciate that. At the end of every episode, I like to tease what I'm going to do the next episode, and this is probably the most different yin and yang of movies that I've had to talk about. We talked about a very prestigious title that's very timeless. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about street trash. Just completely different. I'm going to have VHS Mikey on here.
That's awesome.
Do you know who VHS Mikey is?
Yeah. I follow him. His shorts, he put out that one that's like a music video that's really well produced.
All of his stuff is very well produced. I love VHS Mikey. I'm so happy to have him on the podcast. We talked about VHS earlier in the podcast. That's like the majority of what he does. So we're not really talking about any boutique labels. We're just going to talk about a lot of bizarre VHS tapes that he has in his collection. I think it's going to be a very fun and interesting talk. And he had a VHS of Street Trash. I have the Synapse Films version of Street Trash, and I've never seen the movie before. So we'll still talk about a movie there too. It should be a very fun conversation. If you don't follow VHS Mikey, please do. He makes very well done, polished content.
Very polished content. Yeah. I swear I watched that music video one. I'm like, holy cow, this does not look like some dude just put this together himself.
He made a new intro for himself that looks like the intro to Goosebumps, and it's so well done. Like everything he does is so polished, but it's weird. Like he just lives in his own pocket of weirdness, and I'm in anytime he posts a video.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome guest.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk his ear off about just all the weird stuff he has in his collection. You might not know this if you're watching or listening, but I do have a pretty good sized VHS library. So I have a couple weird oddities in there that I'll pull as well. And it should just be a fun, interesting conversation.
Yeah. That really is a yin and yang. Jeez, we go from 12
into the way November is lining up right now, it's very prestigious Criterion, and it is weird VHS stuff. So November is going to be fun. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening to episode number 7 of Boutique Talk. And until next time, I'll see you.
Bye.